Good morning, guys. This is Simon with Trading Perform Coaching doing the trade review. Actually, I'm going to do a week. I got a special request from one of my coaching clients to do a review of the zones for the week. And so that's exactly what I'm going to do. So for those of you who are uninitiated with how the zones work, I'm going to draw it out right now so that everyone's clear. Let's say this is the first zone. Let's say this is the first zone and it's coming up. Let's say the market opens here. As the market moves up, first touch into the zone, I expect rejection back down. I'm looking for anywhere from, uh, for my first scale, normally I would look for 2 points for my first scale, and my stop is usually 2 points behind the zone. That means that I normally use a 4 point stop. Now, that's what I do, right? Because I know the average rotation of the S&P 500 is 4 to 4 3/4. I want to make sure that I survive and exceed that normal rotation so that my zone trade has very high odds of getting paid. I take a scale of anywhere from a half on my basic trading program, half to 2 to 3/4 of the trade off, move stop to either to break even or net break even, depending on the stretch, meaning how far we're stretched from swing low to swing high, right? The further we're stretched, the more inclined I am to leave a trailer and a bigger trailer to push down out of the zone. But the basic program is first time into the zone, rotation for 2 points, stop 2 points behind the zone is what I use. And so let's just jump in and see how the market did for the week, right? Hold on one second here. We're going to start off here. This is Monday. The only day I'm missing is Tuesday. It appears I didn't save the chart from Tuesday for some reason, so we'll go through. Market opens up. Let's kind of look through this here. First, opens up into the zone and rejects out of the zone and rejects down from essentially 2017 down to 2014.50. 2014.50 is first touch of the zone here. We touch in, rotate back up. Where do we rotate back up to? Obviously, we get the 2016.50 for the 2 points. And then the market comes up all the way through. This zone's already been tested from underneath, right? And remember, it's the first touch of the zone we're focused on. We rotate from 2014.15 through the 2017 to 2019 second touch, all the way up to 2024, where it tags it right to the tick, right? From 2024, rotates after first touch of zone, rotates back down to 2019. This is the first touch of the zone from above, right? So realize first time we opened from underneath and came up. So then once the zone clears, this is the first touch from underneath. We obviously come into 2019, pushes all the way back to 2018, and then pushes right back up for second touch of the day into 2024. I would not have a trade here unless I had one of my secondary indicators, which I did, which would have been either divergence on my internal swing indicator or 1 minute tick divergence is the only other way I could take this trade. And then obviously for the balance of the day as we move through, this was actually a swing long indication right here that triggered on this bar. And as you can see, we got to push straight up towards the end of the day from there. But as far as the zones only, if you look at it, this is touch. First zone to get touched. Oops, I moved the zone. Did not mean to do that. There we go. So let's count it out for Monday. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 trades. Each trade yielded from first touch of the zone was pretty much 100%. And not looking at any other trades or the swing trade or anything else. That's how the zone went for Monday. I don't have Tuesday, although Tuesday was a successful day. I don't have the zones from that particular day. So let's jump over to Wednesday. This is Tuesday. Why do Tuesday and Wednesday look identical? That should not be. So something is wrong here. This is 19th. Let's go find 21st. Hold on one second here. Ah, there's a problem. Okay, there we go. Now it's working. There's the 21st. Let's spread this out a little bit. Make out the zone. So there we go. And let's pull this back in. There we are. Now we have this is Wednesday. This is obviously Tuesday's high and Tuesday's low. So we start off today, the day. Obviously, right out of the gate, we open up into this zone. This is first touch, rejects from 2031 back down to 2026. Obviously from 2029 if you took that trade in this zone. And I want to remind everyone, I generally do not trade the first half hour. So this does not mean I necessarily took this trade. I'm just simply showing the effectiveness of the zones, right? Rejects down for 2 points. If you left a trailer, you had a potential from 2031 all the way down to 2018. First touch of the zone, right? After, this is obviously after 9 a.m. First touch of the zone into 2050 to 2018. Rotates up for, obviously you're able to garner your 2 points. And if you left a trailer, we moved up from 2018 50 all the way up to 2029. It was a 10-point rotation higher. All right. This is the second touch of this zone. There's no trade here for me. This is second touch of the zone. There's no trade here for me. And this is exactly why. This is actually first, second, third touch of the zone here. So this is why my focus is on first touch and not on second and third touch, because the zone on second and third touch can get busted. We come down to 2015 and a quarter. This is interesting, right? Comes right off of 2015 and a quarter. Does not rotate up to 2017 and a quarter, but if you look, and we take a close look here, which we will, look at the back of the zone with a 2-point stop. It's exactly why I use a 2-point stop. From 2014 and a quarter, your stop will be here at 2012. We miss it by more than 1.5 points, and then the market proceeds to rotate all the way back up to 2024. Now you'll notice from 2015 and a quarter, it rolls up to 2018.50. This is first touch again. First touch of the zone, rejects back down, and then eventually makes its way back up to 2024. Okay, and then we move down. This is the zone from our trade plan in the morning. I wanted a long out of 2010.50. And if you'll look, even at the very end of the day, right, we come in, we hit 2010.50 and rotate all the way up to 2013, giving you your 2 points. You got to be realistic. This hit with 3 minutes left in the day, 3 minutes before 3 p.m. Central Time, and I did not take that trade. It was just simply too late in the day. It's unfortunate because right after that into early Asia, we pushed up to 2015, and then obviously by the end of the week, that marked the low of the week. This was my goal, was to take this, a trade and try to swing that out of 2010.50, and sometimes the market just doesn't cooperate. But the zone itself worked perfectly. Again, no zone failed on the first touch this week. So let's go and move to Thursday, which was a much more challenging day. Why was it a challenging day? Because we gapped and we had an open drive higher. Open drive higher is always dangerous because the concern is that the zone will get busted right out of the gate. But if you looked, and if you look at how the market responded, we skipped Wednesday's high. I did not think it was a good zone. The zones where I have very high degree of confidence are marked with an S, and you'll see each of these zones had an S in them, right? So at this point, we open up, and again, the zone holds first touch into the zone, rejects down from 2027 all the way back down to 2021 3/4. Again, this was Globex high, and this was Wednesday's high. I did not have a trade planned here. First move into the zone I had marked with high odds. We move into the zone right here at 2033, 2034, I should say 2034 and a quarter. I don't know why it's moved down, but 2034 and a quarter, and rotates down to 2032 and a quarter. Let me show you that. We did take that trade. I'm having a hard time with this. That's why. That, let's see if we can fix this real quick. Let's see, ES. And where are the, I see what's happened here. Here we go. Okay, perfect. Here we are. Let me get back this. I had the drawing tool on and reset the chart. So here we go. First time in the zone, pushes in, and then you'll see if we take a very close look here that we push into the zone, right? And then you'll notice the rotation from 20, it was 2034 and a quarter is where this should sit. From 2034 and a quarter, rolls all the way back down to 2033. Let's see, 2032 was at 50. 2032.50, and then it does push all the way back up to the back of the zone, but eventually gets right down to 2032 and a quarter. Again, one other factor that I haven't covered is 20 minutes in the zone. If the market, if it spends over 20 minutes in the zone, I'll generally move the stop to 1 point above the swing high and try to scale wherever I can for profit. So I don't remember if I actually got 2 full points out of here or 1 3/4 points out of here, but I did take this trade out profitably in the room. It worked very nicely. We rotate back up. Again, if you'll look, we came to first touch of this zone to the tick. I can tell you, you could get filled this 2039 3/4 because I got filled there, and about 1,200 contracts went off here, and we obviously rotated down immediately. Again, we never even tested this zone again on the backside, just pushed, right? But you were able to get your 2 points, and then this is where I had a finally we get up to the third location, and I did not take a trade here. And the reason I did not take a trade here is after I got my initial scale out of this zone, I left a portion of this trade to swing to the short side, and I was trying to get this breakdown out of this zone. This is a 30-point stretch. So I was carrying the short through here, and on that swing trade, I actually got stopped out right back here. Had you taken this zone, this was the only stop out of the week. You can see the front of the zone did reject, but then it pushed on up. You would not have necessarily, if you followed the 20-minute rule, taken a full 2-point stop behind the back of the zone. If you look, this is 5, 10, 15, 20. You could have easily stopped it out right back here. But there's nothing much to say about it other than the zones, obviously, they're not bulletproof. They're good, but they're not infallible. This was the only stop of the week. This was actually, I'll take that back. If you took the long here, it did right off the top of the zone, 2041 3/4, rotates up to 2042 3/4, but does not make the full stretch up to 2043 3/4. You had to be relatively nimble here. Again, this is coming, this is late afternoon, and in general, late afternoon trades, generally the way I manage them is I cut my trade size in the afternoon to account for the, you have fewer participants after London close, and it is not shocking to see zones have a little bit more difficult time later in the day. The way you compensate for that, cut trade size later in the day. Pretty simple. This zone gets busted first time in from the upside, right? So actually you have this zone fail first time and this zone fail from the top side. So I guess you count that as 2. Again, one of the clues here, when you see a row of just solid red bars with no counter rotation at all, that's pretty big warning sign, right? And then the other factor to factor in is the size of the rotation. In this particular case, it's 2048. A 10-point rotation would have pitched you at 2038. Those are for those clients that want additional security of knowing you got a big stretch. That would pitch into 2036 1/4. And this zone obviously held and gave a big push in the close of the day, all the way up to the top of the zone at 2051 to 2053, which held beautifully for the close. This is second touch of this zone. Obviously, I would not be taking second touch of the zone. And also, I'm not a fan of shorting the end of the day. It's a very low watch trade. And then finally, we come over to Friday. And on Friday, let me get rid of all the retraces I have drawn in there. There we go. So, as you notice, we open up and we backside test the open gap. I was not going into Friday. I was not sure. We had the China cutting interest rate, and I was not sure that the market would hold the backside test of this open gap. This was completely unauctioned behind. As you can see, the market eventually made an effort to re-auction all the way down. My plan was actually not to trade the first hour of the day, but if we look at it just from a zone perspective, market open, did hold the backside test of the open gap, pushed right to 2071.50. You could not get a fill here, even if you wanted. If you limited at 2071.50, about 120 contracts went off right there. I do not think it was possible to get filled. And that's that, right? If we look at the rotation down, then next, we rotated all the way down to 2056. When I have a single point of support, um, it's plus or minus one, and you'll see that we came right to 2056 and 3/4. So I would count that as a successful test of the zone. You also know I did not mark that as a high odds location, and in the market preview, I wanted 2054 1/4. Didn't happen. I did warn, so these green lines are where I get swing longs or swing shorts, and I did warn that well, A, we had a swing long trigger, but B, if you look at the same time, you'll see NQ had the NASDAQ 100 had failed to push to a new low here, and I said if we could close back up above this balance area here, that shorts were pretty much screwed, but they were going to get squeezed all the way back to the top. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. Again, I'm not covering swing long, swing short indicators or their entries here, other than to say they're pretty sweet on Friday. Swing short here worked beautifully. Swing long here worked beautifully. This swing short was a little bit tougher. It pushed. This is where it trapped back in, and it really never got a. Actually, I take it back. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, this was where we trapped back in. We made a 50-60 retrace, and at the end of the day, made a push. Again, I don't like shorting late afternoons. I think it's a low odds affair for the most part. This trade would have actually made you a little bit of money, especially if you took the what I call the fifth entry on this, which would have been the 50-60 retrace. I'll draw this here. Right? Trap, swing short. This is the fifth entry off the swing short. So that would have worked, but again, I would not have taken that from a zone perspective. Again, this zone had already been tested to the tick in the morning. This was second push through. Again, I'm not a fan of shorting in the afternoon, but the zone held perfectly. And as you can see, Globex high, the open gap actually turned out to be quite a good location to trade all day long. But again, I wasn't sure of that going into the day. And so I'm not perfect, but I'm pretty good. The zones worked pretty much perfectly all week long. Again, 2 zones busted all week, the rest of the week. Travis, if you just simply taken first touch of the zone, it would have been pretty hard not to find a scale and not to make some money. So, and then where we did have difficulty, right, was trend day up. And as everyone knows, when we have trend day up, lack of counter rotation down. And for traders who are not, we're all aggressive as future traders, but who are not super aggressive, that's where the problems come in. And the easiest way to avoid getting busted is to avoid trading trend days. Now, I'm super aggressive in my trading style. I'll tend to trade almost every single day, no matter what they throw at me. And I have a big bag of tricks to work my trades, but the zones are my bread and butter. And they worked beautifully this week. And I've been informed by Randy that really since September, we've been since early September, we've been over 90% on first touch of the zone. So anyway, that's a trade review for the week. My name is Simon. I'm with Trade and Perform Coaching. If you would like, if you'd like to have an edge in your ES trading, and you'd like to have the insights of a pro with 20 years of experience help you through the day, send me a request. Try out the room for a week. I'm happy to extend a 5-day trial to anyone who will email me at tradeandperform@gmail.com. And the room's $95 a month. I think it's the best value out there. I don't think there's anyone else who does a better deal. So anyways, hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. I'm headed to Austin to see a rain-soaked Formula One race, and I will talk to everyone on Monday morning, God willing. Talk to y'all later, guys. Have a great weekend.